All right, just waiting for a few people to come on in. I'm here in the studio at home and no fancy microphones, nothing like that. Just want to talk to you tonight. It's 5:30 and I'm about to jump on an international webinar. But I want to talk about what's going on in Australia at the moment, and I want to talk about leadership. And I know I'm going to step on some toes. I know I'm going to upset and touch the sacred cow, but let me tell you something. Sacred cows make awesome hamburgers. And right now, I'm at a point, today I've had so many people inbox me and say, Pat, come back to the live at 5. The rants. And I know some of my Pentecostal preacher friends are going to get mad. I could name some of you that are going to get mad, but you're doing nothing. You're absolutely doing not a damn thing about what's going on. And you ought to hang your heads in shame. I can say that because you don't pay my checks. You don't pay my bills anymore like you used to. But I want to speak about our Prime Minister, the Pentecostal ACC Sacred Cow, Scott Morrison, who was paraded at their recent national ACC conference. He asked us to pray for him, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pray that God gives you wisdom, because these 12 million people in lockdown are a result after your national cabinet meeting. You are the Prime Minister. We voted you in, Scotty, or ScoMo as you like to be called. We voted you in. Sadly, in Queensland, we voted that despot Palaszczuk and then Mac McGowan in Perth. Good Lord, what in the world was Perth thinking? And then that Ning Nong in South Australia. When the Kenny report interviewed the head medical officer, she had no answers because she didn't have enough sleep and didn't think it was important to answer the question, how many people are seriously ill of COVID? Let me tell you how many. 99.7% of cases in this country are mild. Right now, we are operating like China, who, by the way, celebrated 100 years of communist rule. No mention of Tiananmen Square, no mention of the 45 million people they killed, no mention of the Wuhan virus and the lab leak, no mention of that. Of course, we all know it was transported through a bat, something that would take thousands of years to your evolution and my evolutionist friends. But here's the thing. We are operating just like China in fear and propaganda. The media ought to hang their heads in shame. Let me give you the facts. There are 5 cases today that were in one of the states in Australia, 22 in New South Wales. The new Northern Territory is in lockdown over 1 person. Queensland has 3 cases. 3 cases. And you lock down and then some people out there, including leaders, are going, enjoying COVID life with a barbecue. People are suiciding. People are losing. I spoke to 2 people yesterday, young people just down there at a local supermarket and restaurant, can't pay their rent because of a virus and this Delta strain. Seriously, Delta strain. It is so weak. And please don't quote to me India. People are dying in India by the millions every day. Don't quote to me India. It's not about India, it's about Australia. We have no reason to lock down a country, 12 million people over what? Less than 50 cases in this country, 2 people in ICU. And Scott Morrison, this happened under your shift. Your shift. You're in control here. You're in control, Scotty. You sat down in a cabinet meeting and all hell let loose. What happened over there in Europe? By the way, you're all social distancing while you're having your photos, but you're all chummy and close when when the cameras are not there taking a photo op. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm angry. I'm not angry at the mask you're trying to stick on my face. I'm angry at what you're trying to do to my children and my grandchildren. Yes, and I am ranting. Because someone's got to stand up. We need to start marching on the street. The problem is we are too too weak as a community. We are so weak. We are gutless. We will crucify our children at the altar of our own convenience and the altar, watch this, of an 80% vaccination rate. This is what the Chief Medical Officer said of South Australia. Well, when we get to 80%, hang on a minute. Abortionists have a right over their body, but I don't have a right over my body. And I'm not arguing whether vaccines are good or bad, but I have a right. I have a right. And so do you. Scott Morrison now has made it, this is Scott Morrison. God doesn't even make it mandatory for you to do things. He made you a free will agent, Scott. Or did you forget that in your Brethren roots? By the way, Scott, your Brethren roots teaches you about last days, and you have walked hand in hand with a new world order system, and you feel no shame. Yet you can come to a meeting of 2,000-3,000 pastors and they clap you. God, I wish I was there. God, I wish I was there. What a disgrace this country has become. What a disgrace. After the National Cabinet meeting, this unfolds on what? Less than 50 cases, 99.7% are mild. This is no worse than a flu. But we have a world running around in fear, running around in woke, running around in propaganda. God knows the only news media out here is not Channel 7, 9, 10 and SBS. They're all controlled. And yet many people today can't pay their way. How about we do this? Lockdown, we lock you down in your wages. Every premier ought to halt there. I guarantee you there would be a change. They don't get paid. You know why? Because they're not doing their job right. They're not quarantining right. They're not doing what they ought to be doing. And by the way, we pay them. They are our servants. Now, like China, they have become our lords. They have become our dictators and our despots. And until we rise up and make a stand, we will suffer the consequences. You mark my word. You mark my word. And to my preacher friends out there that do not take a stand for anything, shame on you. Quite frankly, I don't care if you never invite me to your churches ever again. You don't pay my bills. And you haven't done so for 20 years. But I feel something prophetic is stirring. I feel there is a remnant of people who are going to rise up and say enough is enough. A remnant of people that will say we will not tolerate this. We will not tolerate the lies. Wait a minute, AstraZeneca, hang on a minute. Now it's available for everybody. 2 weeks ago, if you were over 60, it was okay. Oh no. What changed? What in the world changed? I'll tell you what changed. You had a meeting overseas. Prove me wrong. Tell me, I know you won't watch this. I might be a lone voice in the wilderness. I may be a small voice. I may be a small voice, but I'm going to voice. I may not have the influence I did 20 years ago, but by golly, I'm telling you, by God, I will not sit here silent. I will not sit here silent to watch a holocaust of our freedom, a holocaust of our rights. And for those of you out there that are saying, I'm going to go out and get my jab, you ought to think about what you're leaving behind. And it's not about a jab. It's about our loss of freedoms. And don't give me this rhetoric that you're doing it for other people. I am not sick. I am not sick. And I will refuse to be treated like I'm sick. Just remember, Nazi Germany promised people they were just having a shower before they killed 6 million people. This is beyond any form of decency. And where are the prophets in the land? Where are the righteous men and women on the pulpits on Sunday morning that refuse to lock the doors? We proudly say that Daniel stood there in the midst of the lions and the lion's mouth was shut. Let me tell you why the lion's mouth was shut. Because he opened the windows and defied a decree of a despot. And then the despot saw the miracle and he turned around. That's why we're not seeing these recalcitrant, arrogant leaders Jeanette Young now being made the governor. On what basis? What qualifications had she had? Someone please post on here what qualifications that woman had. Dr. Death. What qualifications did that woman have to be the head in this state of Queensland of health? And now a governor, apart from the fact that she towed a party line. And we sit here, and every parent, every grandparent listening to me, I'm mad. And no, I won't put this post down. Even if my kids start telling me, put it down, Dad, I don't care. I don't care. Because if we stand for nothing, we will fall for every single lie. And you all know it's a lie. Have they ever bothered to consider that the reason why the vaccination system in this country is working is people are seeing through your BS? Did you ever bother to consider that people are seeing through the lies and the deception? Did you ever bother to consider that people are seeing through the lies and the rhetoric, Scott Morrison? Yes, you, Scott Morrison, Pentecostal tongue-talking Christian. You, the Prime Minister. You are the Prime Minister of this nation. And all these patsies you've got in the Pentecostal movement that just sit there and because they get kudos because you speak at their conferences, shame on you all. Shame. I may have lived with my shame in my life, but I will not tolerate this, and I will not sit there and watch my children and my grandchildren lose their freedoms of right, religion, worship, and freedoms over their body. And I know I'm going to get hammered, I'm going to get slammed, and I'm going to be blacklisted. I know that, but I don't care because you know what? You don't pay my bills. And I answer to a higher calling. What a tragedy that our nation, under Christian leadership, righteousness exalts a nation, not woke. Your woke Jesus is not working. Your woke Jesus doesn't exist. Someone said to me today, I wonder if Jesus came back whether he had to be vaccinated or quarantined. Well, under Scott Morrison's, he would have to. Under Palaszczuk and Berejiklian, who I once respected, he would have to. Sadly, these bedwetting politicians, eventually the truth will come out. Eventually the truth will come out. 99.7% of cases are mild. This is not a pandemic, it's a flu. Show me the science behind a mask. Just show me. Show me the science. Just show me one science. Dr. Clancy in this country tells you lockdowns don't work. One of the most respected scientists, doctors in the world. Yet we listen to Jeanette Young and whoever that idiot is in South Australia. Did you see the speech by the Northern Territory Premier? That guy wouldn't run a home group in my church if I had one. Yet we listen to these people. We don't protest. We don't argue. We don't care. Lee Kuan Yew said in Singapore, by the way, who's now said we've had enough, and our Prime Minister said we're going to treat this like Singapore did, and well, we're not. Lee Kuan Yew said the reason why they're so hard on drug addiction is because Singapore loves its children. Sadly, in Australia, we don't. I'll leave you my thoughts. I hope you share this. I hope you spread it. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm ranting. But let me tell you, if we want a great future, we better deal with it now. Have a great night.